Welcome to We Fixed Real Estate.
And I'm Fred Glick, and I'm in Philadelphia. Next guy down there.
Yeah, and I'm on top of the Golden Gate Bridge right now.
Looks like you're in the headlands.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, you're in the headlands. You rode your bike up there, right?
yeah. I should be riding my bike. I'm still trying to lose the winter 15.
Yeah, last time you were on a salad diet.
Yeah. No, I'm still kind of on that salad diet. It's disgusting. I don't recommend it.
I'm on an expansion phase still.
The winters in California are so rough. I had to come to Philadelphia to feel real cold. At 48 degrees, everybody's in REI buying these overcoats. It's hysterical. But I'm cold inside all the time anyway. It's just me, so I'm always freezing.
Looking stylish. So you're in Philadelphia for the snow.
No snow. Unfortunately, it doesn't snow here anymore. Like I grew up here and it always snowed. Now, global warming, guys, I did it.
Let's talk about rentbacks.
Okay. That's a good thing to start. We're seeing an increase in listings. I keep saying back on the market, back on the market, back on the market. So this is the stuff that all came off right before Christmas. And then add that to everything new that's coming on. And what happened in an occupied house sometimes, because the people don't have anywhere to go yet or can't get into a place for a period of time, they'll want to rent the house back from you after closing. So everybody wants to close fast, 15 days, get their money, put it in the bank, and then sit there in the house for a while. So a bunch of things about this. First of all, your lender will allow you to let them be in the house for up to 60 days, no more than that. So that's one thing you have to make sure you understand, especially when you're negotiating a contract, because you have to put these things in the contract. As a matter of fact, in California, there's an actual specific form already done if somebody's going to be there less than 30 days or 30 to 60 days. So I won't go into the details of the form, but also the good thing about these forms and what they do is they make it so these people are staying there like they're in a hotel. So after day 61, your person's not out, you basically can call the police and get them out, theoretically, because they're just there as a hotel type of situation. I don't remember the legal stuff with it, but that's kind of where it is on that. The other couple of parts on how much are these people going to pay you? And what is a security deposit? So security deposit, let me start with that. That's an easy one. Pretty much everybody will not have an issue with this because it's not about just the people moving out. It's the movers and who knows what's going to happen. In a regular transaction, you don't have this. You just say to them, hey, I'm not closing until this is done. Or we put aside money. You renegotiate. It's a last second renegotiation if there's a problem. But in this move out, 60 days later, they move out, their stuff done, you need to hold some money. So I normally do $2,500. I don't see anybody who objects to that. And they can the escrow company just takes it from escrow. So the other thing is rent. So here's the thing. In Northern California, or the house has got 50 packages out, had 12 offers, and you're putting in a pretty good offer that might win, but you can't then ruin your offer. And what I mean by ruin is say, okay, I want market rent for 60 days. And I want you to pay the HOA fee and all that shit. Like, no, leave them there for $1 for the 60 days or $0, whatever it is. Have them just pay the utilities. Have them pay the cost of operating the house. That's it. Because you're more apt to get your agreement accepted rather than I want this and I want that. So if you're going to take $5,000 a month. That's $10,000 off your offer, basically, is the way they'll look at it. So you may lose the house because you tried that. So it's really important to get all these details up front before you submit your contract and think about the ramifications of what will happen once a seller sees it.
I think you give a pretty extensive explanation on the buyer side. On the seller side, I think a lot of the sellers that I'm talking to, they seem to think that they have to, once they close on a transaction or they sell their house, they have to leave immediately. And one thing to note is that no, as a seller, you can have multiple ways of getting or accepting offers. So one of them is, just as Fred is talking about, rent back, is requesting anywhere between 30, 60 days to stay in the house after the house is sold. But you can also start looking to purchase a new home elsewhere and tell buyers like, hey, like I will sell my house, but it will be contingent about me, around me finding a replacement property. That way you don't have to be rushed. I have clients who are like, oh, well, I don't know where I'm going to stay. Like I might have to stay in my car or just hotels. That might be expensive. And it's just like, well, no, you don't have to do that. We say like, hey, if I don't get my terms, I won't move out of the house. Right. So
Right. It's a seller's market. You can kind of dictate it too. And we prepare our buyers, and I hope other agents do, prepare your buyers that this may happen. So here's another thing on a buyer side. So let's say you settle in February 3rd, to make up a number. You obviously don't have a mortgage payment in February, but you also don't have a mortgage payment in March. Your first payment is April, and April pays for March's interest. And you've already paid February's interest at the close of escrow. So they collect that up front. So you don't have a physical mortgage payment to make in that case, for 60 days. And then big deal, you let them just stay in there and pay the utilities. So think about the cash flow difference there, but also it's most important thing about what your offer really is because of the rental. Now in other states, let me just add this. Like I was used to in Pennsylvania, you got to move out. We didn't do rent backs. You got the trucks there and at 12 o'clock, you had settlement at 11, everything's gone by 12 and everything's fine, or the other way around, out by 11, settle at 12, move to the next house. So it's like wire to wire kind of thing. So there's a lot of stuff going on. Each individual transaction is different. Each area has different things, but the rent back works great. Right.
Yeah, the other thing to note about like why you don't want to charge rent is because think about it this way. You're probably going to have one cash offer against you that can also offer the rent back. If you're a cash transaction, you don't have a lender asking you to only do 60-day rent back, right?
Good point.
So then at that point, you want to just tell the buyers, hey, we're being extremely flexible as much as we can. And that's how a cash deal also outbeats a buyer. Because a seller says like, hey, I might not find a replacement property in 60 days. I'll just take the cash deal and I can talk it out and get an extension and me staying here longer while I find a house. So
let me throw an exception at you. If the seller says, I got to stay here 120 days, your mortgage company says, no. We have lenders who will just close your loan. You're going to pay for it and it's going to be expensive, but they'll close your loan as a cash buyer in 7 days. And then they can stay there for 60 days and then you can make your mortgage application. The rates are going down, so it probably behooves you to wait and get the lower rate for the longer term mortgage. So there's a lot of things out there. This could get extremely deep, but that's a good start this topic.
I really enjoyed the conversation, but I have a question. You're talking about like a hotel type scenario versus a rent scenario. Does that help prevent the seller from just squatting in the house after they sold it?
Yeah. Well, no, because contract that I'm talking about is this lease after the sale. Mm-hmm. If they stay after you bought it, there's no rent there implied. I'm not going to gander or guess. Call your lawyer day one. Oh, yeah. But I think you can pretty much get them out. It's your house. They have no lease. They have no tenancy. They have nothing there. So every municipality may be different in that answer. But
so in a rent back though, the seller gets the money and they're still living in the house.
Exactly.
And buyer says that you can, I'm going to buy the house. I'm not going to charge you rent. So it's easier. So it's more for the seller. But
right. The buyer is now the owner.
Mm-hmm. The buyer is the owner. They're living there.
And the former seller is now the tenant.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. You change what you are in the transaction.
And then you mentioned, the other question I had is you mentioned in Philadelphia, it wasn't or in Pennsylvania, it wasn't a thing. Is it illegal or just not common?
No, it's not a thing.
Okay.
I don't know.
Probably
it just is. It's just been that way. We also are different. We have, if you say closing is Monday at 12 o'clock, everybody goes to the title company office. They sit across the table from each other. They say, hi, how you doing? Nice to meet you. Tell me about the best restaurant in the neighborhood. You talk and you chat. Most of the closings are a lot of fun. The escrow title person just does all the numbers and they get all the money. Buyer signs some mortgage documents and everybody gets their checks and keys and off they go. Whereas in California, I've never attended a closing because the escrow company sends out a notary to somebody's house. They sign the papers in front of the notary. The notary sends them back to escrow. Escrow sends them to the lender. The lender and the escrow company, blah, 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 blah. They all figure out the numbers, and everywhere. Sellers, same thing. They send out a notary to sign the deed and this and that. And then it gets sent to the city to record the next day. So you sign on Monday, you don't close until Tuesday. And that's when the money gets traded over. So you're going to need the money for the next house. It's a tight thing. It's to whisper down the lane stuff. That stuff happens, but you might get on Tuesday rather than Monday. So you can have a 1 day, a 2 day lease back just for stuff. But our clients want to get in, if it's recorded at noon, they want to get in by 12:15. They want to get in right away, start cleaning, prepping because they got the movers coming the next day. We try to tell people, look, wait a few days after closing, just in case, get it clean, do it right. Don't rush. But, again, this is all case to case stuff. We're just throwing out some stuff about what happens here.
Yeah, I like the idea of that, more of a formal situation. I know the first house I bought in the mid 90s, I did go into the escrow office. I don't think the seller was there, but it was a lot more formal than the last house.
There's no notaries and email and websites and when you were young. So.
Yeah. So I did appreciate that. It had a little sense of gravity to it versus the last few houses I bought where everything's done electronic and just kind of happens.
And and in the future, it's going to get more electronic. It's just going to, bing, bang, boom.
Guys, so like in Mexico, the way that property closings happen is sellers, they meet up with the buyers at the house and they explain how the switches operate, how this and that works. That makes much more sense than like, oh, it's your house, good luck finding out what this switch does,
right. Well, that's like, but here's like us. When we have a buyer, we send out this Google form to the seller to ask the agent, like what days the trash go out, all that kind of little stuff. Who's the best cable company, internet, whatever. Mm-hmm. 9 times out of 10, they never send it back. It's just so rude. And that reminds us, we got to do it for our new listing coming up in Culver City, which we're not allowed to talk about, although it's a nice house with 3 bedrooms and probably about $1.4 million. If you're interested, give us a call. Anyway, I think I just violated the terms of the multiple listing service, so sue me. But anyway, it's just, we can't get the answers out of the sellers because the agents, they don't even know what a Google form is. Oh, can you just print this out for me? Yeah. Whatever. Print it out yourself.
Yeah, I do miss that formal process where the seller can. It adds finality.
Yeah. One last thing. The other thing we do on our listings specifically, and no one does this, is when we go and put everything into the multiple listing service, we do it with the sellers on the phone. So we go through literally each line item that they ask for, and then they can expand on it. They can talk about, oh yeah, we put a new dishwasher in 2 years ago. And the reason was because we, felt as though it's better on the right side than the left side. We got the extra heavy duty one because it's blah, blah, blah. They can talk about the house. Yeah. How many, do you have any special thermostats or something? Talk about their nest or how to use it. So we do get into that. We don't literally do it in writing, or in meeting, but if you try to do it, kind of personalize the house for the new buyer. And the prospective buyers, obviously.
That's interesting. So all MLS listings aren't all actually considered the same. Some are just done on a checklist. Yours is done in a thorough fact-finding tour.
Absolutely.
It also helps to convey to the buyer. It helps with that transfer of knowledge.
Right. And this way we don't make mistakes on the MLS. We put everything there because we got the owner, talking about it. So pretty great. Pretty great.
One of the things, so this mortgage process is pretty complicated and also kind of varies between states. Talk about the loan officers in the process.
You know how we were talking a few minutes ago about how it's impersonal, the real estate closing and all that. That's what it actually should be for the mortgage, but it's not. It's full of salespeople. And you got to be licensed to be a loan officer. You go through some training that's a lot more extensive than being a real estate agent. If you're under what's called the NMLS system, where you're a mortgage broker. Do you want to work for a mortgage brokerage or be a mortgage broker? You go through a lot of training. If you just walk into Wells Fargo, say, I want to be a loan officer, they say, here, great. We'll get you an NMLS number. That's it. No training, nothing. So that's one thing to be aware of, although the banks are going to be training people, but these small mortgage bankers, have to have loan officers and brokerages, everybody except banking officers. But anyway, the point is they want to rule your transaction. They think they're the most important cog in the wheel. So they're going to tell you two things, and the two things you should never do with a loan officer. Number one, get an approval for the absolute highest mortgage and sale price you can. They're going to tell you, hey, here's what we'll do. When you make an offer, we'll get you an approval for that offer that you're making. And then the seller will think that it's all, you've done your best. You're the tough negotiator because you're an idiot by doing that. And I'll tell you why. Let's say you you follow the loan officer, the $1 million offer, $800,000 mortgage. And guess what? There's 5 other offers, and seller multiple counter offer says, no, somebody's going to pay at least $1,050,000. We're not taking anything less. Well, you only have a loan approval for $1 million. What are you going to do? Go back to the loan officer? Oh, I'll give you a new one for $1,050,000 with an 825 mark. Well, now the seller looks at it and say, well, wait a second. How did you automatically in 24 hours just qualify for a new loan amount? So you lied to us up front? Because this is the way I look at it. You lied to us. We didn't know what you qualify for. We tell our clients, get the highest you can. So if you're approved for $2 million and your sale price, you're gold with this person. And they don't look at it and say, oh, he's approved for more. Let's try more. That's only if you're going one-on-one with the seller. But what you forget to realize, you're not negotiating with the seller. You're negotiating against other buyers, period. So you're only going to go what you're going to go. Just because you're approved for $2 million, you're not going to go to $2 million. So we have to tell the loan officer, no, I need to get approved for the maximum loan amount. Okay.
I want to follow up on that are important. One of them, think about this simple fact. If you're submitting a offer for 1.562, right, and the pre-approval shows that exact number as your pre-approval, what are the odds that such coincidence that that's the max you're approved for? Agents that have been in business for a long time know that is a gimmick that mortgage officers do and when submitting offers. So if it doesn't work, because nobody's going to believe that that's your max offer, first of all, right? Second of all, one of the theories behind this strategy was because loan officers wanted to keep a tight leash on buyers. They wanted to know exactly where they were offering and where they were in their buying process because they didn't want to lose business, right? So if they have to go back, if you as a buyer have to go back with your loan officer to get a new pre-approval for every property you submit, then you don't lose business and you can at least try to get them through your transaction, right? So that's the whole mentality. It's not to help you become more aggressive and powerful buyer. It's because they want to make sure that, you work with them versus someone else. That's the only reason.
Yeah.
That was my...
And then the second thing is rates. So here's the story. There are very, very, very few places on the internet you can get live interest rates. Wells Fargo is nice enough to publish some of them, but they're not exact because everything is based on credit score, sale price, mortgage amount, property type, blah, blah, blah. There's a million things. Somebody says to me, what's your rate today? You're like, I don't know. Tell me these 10 things and I'll get you a rate. But so the other thing is rates can change like stock prices. I've had over the years, and I've been doing mortgages since Ronald Reagan was in his second term, where we had 5 rate changes in a day. So the loan officer can say, oh yeah, we're at 5.5 with no points. And, you think, oh, these guys are great. And then you get to the day you actually have to lock in when you are making an application. So you call him up. The idea is call him first hey, what's the rate today? And what are all your lender fees? Processing fee, underwriting fee, credit fee, tax service fee, flood certs, everything. Get everything they charge. They give you the rate and the points or rebates, depending on the interest rate, because it's like a seesaw, it goes up and down, rates versus points and rebates. And then, call two other people and find out what they really are. I mean, for us, we charge a flat fee over our wholesale rates. Basically, everybody's wholesale rates are the same. Mortgage brokers and bankers go at least 1.5, usually up to 2.5% of the loan amount as their charge on top of their wholesale. So that's why you're going to see we're going to have better rates 9 times out of 10, unless there's a bank with portfolioing something, that we can't compete against, or Wells Fargo jumbo. We're terrible on jumbos if it's just a clean, super clean deal. We can do those DSCR investor and all that stuff, but that's another thing you got to be careful of. The rate can catch you in, so get everything and get it all in writing. Ask them to email it to you and then compare.
Like when you say compare, because the last time I bought, my rates were guaranteed, so I could go look at the home.
You locked before you bought a house?
Yeah. Is that a bad thing?
They're rare. They're always going to be higher than the market rates. Right. And you were scared it was going to go up. And depends on the day. Right now, it'd be crazy to
evaluate, I guess, if it's lower.
It depends on their program. Sometimes they do these long rate locks, and if it's lower, you get the lower rate plus a quarter in rate, something like that. Because they're selling the loan to Fannie and Freddie. They've already sold it based on what you told them you're locking in at. So there's always a little bit of lock, but there's a reason why they hold the locks. Or they're matching funds, etc.
In this environment, going into like 2024, are rate locks a thing anymore? Or is it something you would recommend, or they're so fluctuating you might want to just ride the tide?
It depends. I mean, CPI was a little hotter than they thought, but it's all, the trends are coming down. But get somewhere you're comfortable with and look at the monthly payment, not just the rate. Look at the payment. See if you're comfortable with taxes, insurance, homeowners, HOA insurance, condo fees, whatever you have, flood insurance. Look at the total monthly payment. Be comfortable with it.
That's excellent advice. I mean, that's what I do when I buy cars, when I buy a house. It's like I really am less concerned about the underlying rate, especially when I'm buying. Is can I afford the payment every month?
Yeah, that's a good start. So that's a good start. Yeah. And they look at that too. Not as much with car dealers because they don't care. They love to repo and resell the car. So, they usually have insurance. They get paid off their insurance and they sell the car again. So they love to repo. Car dealer financing, another thing not to do.
Oh yeah.
No way. It's where you buy the car with nothing extra from them, nothing. Take cash or get a loan from a credit union or something and just buy it. None of their extras, undercoating, overcoating, missile launchers. I don't know, whatever. That's where they make their real money. So there's a guy I follow on Twitter who talks about car dealers. It's great. Learn all the insides. Like in this podcast, you'll learn all the insides about real estate. There you go.
There is. So, René, you've got a good tip. So we were talking in the pre-show about when you're going to list your home and how it's not necessarily always a good idea to fix it up before the listing agent has a chance to see it. You want to talk about that for a second?
The reality, when new buyers come into a property, they're going to see the lot. They're going to see the main frame of the house, and then decide I'm going to just change and remodel everything. I'm going to paint my kitchen red and my bathrooms pink. They're going to do whatever the heck they want with the house, right? So the seller, you want to give new buyers a clean canvas, right? You don't want to overpay with like nice countertops in the kitchen, for example, unless you're doing a full rebuild and selling as a developer, new construction, new build, right? If that's the case, that's a different story. But if you're the seller, you're preparing a house to buy, especially if you need to manage a lot of like moving out items, right? There's a lot of times that people throughout the years have collected a lot of items, right? It's like, okay, how do I navigate the moving all these big furniture items? You don't want to just move them out of every room, scratch the floors even, in a worse condition. So what you want to do is, one bedroom where you're going to pick and choose what you're going to keep to move out, while you pick whether you're going to have a moving service, which, someone can actually bring in a pod and keep it there for any time that you need it. It could be as little as like 1 or 2 days to just 2-3 months, right? There's different fees attached to them, but you can get a pod. There's a lot of U-Haul services where you do have a driver that can take it from one place to another. Of course, the rates are quite expensive in that regard. And I'm here to kind of navigate whether it might be a quote unquote cheaper option to do a moving service versus a pod service to keep the items outside while you find someone else or another place to move into. But the point,
and let me just add, there's that clutter.com. That's pretty good. They come, take it away, put it in their own storage area. It's not a specific 7x10 room for you, and it's high security. And then they bring it back, and it's a pretty cool thing. A little
They
different.
help you unclutter it, or do they just bring it on?
Yeah, they pack and everything. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's a whole process, right? When you're a seller that doesn't have a new place to live, you still need like one bedroom, one corner to just kind of sleep and have all your belongings in, right? And you might want to donate items. So, as a good listing agent, a listing agent should be able to help you navigate where can I donate or recycle these items, right? That's really important for when you're picking and choosing who you're going to work with. Which I'm more than happy to coordinate all those access versus whether it's recycling metal, whether it's recycling baby items. Sometimes we get
electronics,
and you also, it is a taxable deduction, right? When you donate items, a lot of sellers don't know you can actually get a receipt for what you donated for, what the donations are worth. Then you can put it in your taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Itemized deduction.
I will get the name of it. I can't remember right off the top of my head, but I will get it before this goes live. There's a company out there that will come and pick up all the food and be able to reuse what they can, deliver to homeless shelters.
Oh, wow.
And they're in the Bay Area too.
Yeah.
You might want to Google it if I don't find it, if you don't see it in the bottom here. But I'll try to dig it out. They're good people.
Just
so nice.
Or an organization that's trying to help in every aspect, shape, way, or form. That's be in tune with whatever product or service you want to get help on or provide help for. So there's that. I mean, when you're moving out of a house and renovating it or a move out, there's two different things, right? One, you can take care of it yourself, and you do want to take care of the floors and the paint. If you don't take care of that, it's going to look like a fixer. There's no way around it, right? You can update the electrical, you can do a lot of different things to it, but you do want to give the new buyers a clean canvas, unless it's a tear down, unless you have cracks in the walls and you're going to completely tear the house apart. You want to give them a clean canvas. Now, as a seller, I know that you might not have the money. There are ways to have these listing concierge services remodel the entire house, and you don't pay until closing. Once the property is sold, they get the money out of the proceeds from the sale. That way, the seller, you don't have to worry about paying any upfront fees. And this is for everything. This is for if you're going to need help moving, right? These concierge companies can help with paying for that before the sale. This is for help and even the staging, if you want to stage the property, things like that. So don't think that when you're selling, you have to get money up front. You can work with concierge companies that, yes, they will charge a fee for their services, but it allows you, if you're paying, let's say $10K in fees, to be able to get $100, $150K in more profit than you would have if you wouldn't have renovated. And I'm there to tell you, you know what, it does make sense, or no, it's not really going to make a difference, right? Because
that's the important thing. When someone's considering listing their home, they should be talking to a listing agent, talking to somebody such as yourself to help them, advise them on the best use of their money, where to put the lipstick, should they do a concierge service. And it also seems like this might be another benefit of your flat fee sellers listings. With all the money they're saving on commissions, they can put that towards a concierge service.
Yeah. And sometimes people think, well, I was thinking of buying a new refrigerator so that it has a better visibility. Well, okay. Are you going to put that $2,000 on the fridge? Maybe instead you do landscaping in the backyard, that's going to give you a more attractive price than getting a new refrigerator, right? So,
right. Here's
yeah.
Here's the thing I always say to people, and it's so hard for them to think about. When you're selling your house, you're not selling it to yourself. Don't make it so that you think it's nice. You got to make it so the buyer thinks it's nice. And you may be, I don't know, in your 90s and you don't like any landscaping and you have minimalistic house and I don't know. I'm not making this up, but the buyer wants to see a clean slate, pretty, easy to move into, and they're willing to pay for it. We have some buyers that don't show me anything. It's not it. I want to be able to move in day one. They're going to pay for it. And that's where you get into a competitive bid situations too. The nicer it looks, the higher the price, the more people. So if you want to look like crap, not do any work, you're going to make less money and you may have less people bidding on it because there's not as many people who want to do the fix up. They don't know what to do. They don't know who to trust. They don't know how to get it done. And I don't blame them. I mean, all the good contractors, the really good ones, they're working and they probably have a year's worth of work lined up already. And people are begging for it. So what you're getting is this kind of, this is not for everybody, but kind of the next level guys. Yeah, you can get the work done. Or it's one company that's doing 3 jobs at once, which can also be a nightmare. A bunch of guys don't show up. They got to move from one job to the other. It just takes nothing but time. And don't even try new construction. Forget it.
Well,
that's a whole different world.
Right, if you're trying to build new construction, and actually, I was a bit concerned that Fred was really optimistic. He was like, "Oh yeah, you'll build it in 2 to 3 years," but 2 to 3 years is pretty optimistic. That's if you know.
That's if it was modular.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
What are you building in 2 to 3 years?
Getting approval and building in San Jose in like 2 to 3 years.
Oh,
we had clients that think, we can buy land and then just, put the house on it and be in it in a few months. It's like, you don't understand the process. My favorite California real estate story is this. I had friends who are both engineers, know exactly what they can do. Can design a house, plumbing, everything. They knew everything. They bought a piece of land in the hills of Malibu. And you have now the city of Malibu, the county of Los Angeles, the Santa Monica Mountain Commission, the Coastal Commission, the state of California, the Environmental Protection Agency, and on and on and on that had to approve. So once they approved one thing, everybody had to approve it again. Ugh. So from the time that they bought the piece of land to the time they walked in their front door was guess how long? You can't do this, René. You know this.
We're playing 5
years. 17 years. Okay, now they finished building in the 90s, but still,
they bought it in 83?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Now, this is on a worst case basis, but still.
Yeah, that is the worst case ever.
Persistence. I got to give them persistence. 17.
There you go.
So what would you advise? Find a house that you want to extensively remodel?
Yeah. Remodeling is going to be a lot easier than new construction. As long as you have a foundation. That's kind of what every city will say is it's the basis for a rehab. So if you literally can knock the house down, you build it right over the same exact envelope that the last house was. You're building up from the foundation. It's already there. The pipes are there, the electrics, coming in from the street and all that. So then it's called a renovation. You can also do that with not in this price range, but a FHA 203K loan. All over the country, they're done, where they give you the money to buy it and fix it up. But it has to be a renovation loan. So, but again, take it down, take everything out and put a new house up on the existing foundation. So they're great loans. They take a little bit of time and detail, but if the seller's willing to wait to close and you can get it done, you got the right person doing it. Fabulous.
If you're looking at fixers, the FHA refi or a renovation loan's the way to go. Is there a certain, does the house have to have a certain amount of decrepitude to qualify for it?
$5,000. So you literally can use the FHA 203K to put in new carpets, and that's it.
Really? Do they carry high interest rates, or is there
A
any
little higher than the regular Fannie FHA loans, which are lower than the conventional loans. So they're somewhere in between, conventional loans and regular FHA loans. So it's not bad.
And
You
can
have
you
the mortgage insurance
renovation
on it. I'm sorry?
Can you include the price of the renovation on?
That's the whole point of it.
Okay.
They let you buy it. You buy it with 3.5% down payment, as low as long as you qualify, plus all the renovations. Then they're giving you. So let's say you buy a house for $100, costs $50 to renovate. They give you a $150,000 mortgage. They release $100,000 at closing, and they give you the $50,000 over time. I don't want to go into all the details of it, but they release it after you do a certain amount of work, and it's a whole thing.
Well, it's an interesting. A lot of people don't realize it.
Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have similar programs, but the FHA one is the one that's most used and most identified with.
Interesting. Well, I need
Good stuff.
to let you get back to the chilly weather in Philadelphia. And Renee, I think there's a light bulb that needs to be fixed on that.
Oh yeah.
Been bugging
Jeez,
me.
only one.
Gotta-
Climb up there.
So
King Kong Perez.
yeah, I know that this is the Golden Gate Bridge, but apparently the Bay Bridge is actually getting its lights back. So
Oh,
it
really?
is?
Cool. Who's paying for it this time?
I don't know. Yeah, no, I didn't read the article because
It was some company that was paying for it, wasn't it? Before?
we stole money. Yeah, no, it's
Yeah, I
actually on profit of sorts.
can't remember. Maybe the guy who just just moved the Oakland Athletics is doing it as a tribute to his friends in Oakland. I'll pay to light the bridge since I stole your baseball team. Boy, that was one ugly stadium. I was there about 3 or 4 years ago. It was like going to prison. Just all, it was in terrible condition. It just, anyway, hey, one quick note on a hockey front. Cutter Gauthier, I hope you enjoy Southern California, but you better be sick on the days you have to come to Philadelphia to play. You're a moron. And we'll end it with that. Cutter Gauthier is a moron.
On that note,
You guys have no idea what I'm talking about, but there's people who do.
I'm Googling it right after this. On that note, another episode of We Fixed Real Estate.